I'm so ready. I was born ready. I think there's one thing wrong, though. One thing I have to do. It's killing the vibe. We can't do it. We just can't. It's killing the vibe. I can't with this.
For our remote listeners, Mo got up and unmade his bed on the podcast.
I can't. It's killing the vibe. It was killing the vibe.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Reaction Phase, the podcast that doesn't rest and has the most mojo of all podcasts. I am joined by the man who has recently learned to make his bed, Mo Bogsley, Mo Dollars, Mo Vacations. What's going on, Mo?
What is up? I finally learned how to make my bed. I'm not a big fan, waste of time, but I am here on the best podcast. What is up?
And you have some awesome mojo today. I'm trying to match your mojo levels, and that starts with the lid that you're wearing on the head. Tell us about what you got going on here.
Yeah, so I got the good old Team Ascent logo and the Hometown TCG logo in the Pride colors. Super bright, super colorful. And yeah, if you go to our website, Team Ascent, I think it's ascent-gaming.com. It'll be in the link, and use code MODollars with a Z. You get 10% off. You can get cool hats. There's cool shirts like red pitch, blue pitch.
One pitch, two pitch, red pitch, blue pitch. I know. I just practiced reading the Dr. Seuss book because the kiddo's on her way. I'm not kidding. I just practiced.
We have all kinds of fun shirts. We have resting pitch face with a P. Resting
with a
pitch face.
YouTube censors. Don't come after us. Yep. It's a P.
We have lots of cool merch. Go support us. It all comes back to us. Helps us go to these events. Helps us do things like this. So
yes, and I am rocking the black. I was talking while facing away from my bike, which is,
the back of your
content
head is
creator move.
Beautiful
the HTTCG stitched hat. It's black with the red stitching. You saw the logo on the front, HTTCG across the back. You can visit that link in the video description. And as always, this podcast is brought to you by MinMax Games. Now, I don't want to say MinMax Games is the best Flesh and Blood store in the known universe, but MinMax Games is the best Flesh and Blood store in the known universe. If you go to minmaxgamesfab.com and use promo code HTTCG, you can get 5% off your singles order of $50 or more. That money comes back to help the channel, help support what I'm doing here at Hometown TCG and what I'm supporting over at Ascent Gaming with Team Ascent as the proud sponsor of Team Ascent. I love bragging about you guys. I've said it on Twitter. We're going to get into some of the stuff Ascent's got going on when we get to the online portion of this podcast. But everyone on that team just rocks. I'm so glad to work with you guys, except maybe you.
I mean, I'm definitely the worst player on the team, but the most fun person to hang out with.
You're so mean to prison players. They just
someone's got to be the worst. I'll take the worst. I'll take the worst spot, but I'm the most fun.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying you're mean to prison players. You're a bully. You're a prison player.
I was on Prism, so I was mean to myself.
Prison player.
And you know what? There's no more Prism. So guess what? I get to bully someone else now. Who that is, we'll find out later.
Well, let's find out during the breakdown of this podcast. We got a lot to talk about today. We have some big events going on at SCG Con. So we're going to talk about the RTN, the last chance to qualify for nationals. We're going to talk about the Battle Hardened. We got top 8 breakdown for both of those events, courtesy of Sam the Drip King Dando out that way. We are going to talk the meat and potatoes of this podcast will be Flesh and Blood Online, the biggest topic in the FaB community these days. Is it good for the game? Is it a positive? Is it a negative? All our thoughts on Flesh and Blood Online. And then finally, we're going to dig into some huge FaB sales. There's been some content made about some big FaB sales going on, and we want to talk about that. And then we're going to end the podcast with the closing crazy comment section. Mo, are you ready, dude?
Josh, I'm so ready. I was born ready. I think there's one thing wrong, though. One thing I have to do. It's killing the vibe. We can't do it. We just can't. It's killing the vibe. I can't with this.
For our remote listeners, Mo got up and unmade his bed on the podcast.
I can't. It's killing the vibe. It's killing the vibe.
And with now only the best of vibes, let's get into the Nationals top 8. Break it down for us, Mo Dallas.
Yeah, so the Nationals top 8 had 7 different heroes shown in this top 8, which is insane. You have one FI, one Jomai, one Viserai, one Briar, one Icelander, one Bravo, and two Old Hymns. Old Hymn players ruin everything, of course.
First of all, facts. This man is just spitting hot fire, hot facts. Jim Williams, if you're listening, sorry, you ruin everything, dude. Like, I don't know what to tell you. But that top 8 right there is something you love to see. It was a 40-person event, and you made the point earlier that, or when we were talking, that it was kind of a more, not a casual event because it did have a lot on the line, but it was an event where people felt comfortable bringing their comfort decks, their pet decks, and decks they really wanted to play. And events like this, dude, are ridiculous. This is how you get top 8.
So
like
much fun. Like, this is one of those events where a lot of players that are trying to play at the highest level already have their nationals events. So they are coming here, they're testing, their crazy brews. They're testing what they think the meta might be. This was a big testing event for lots and lots of players, trying to figure out what they want to do and what they want to bring to nationals, to worlds, to that next big event. This was a great testing event and a wide open meta. So excited to see this. Shout out to Mansant, who got top 8 in this event and sadly got 9th at the Battle Hardened.
Oh,
you all
and
good
I think
over there, sir?
Yeah, you said Crazy Brew. I have like a cold foil Crazy Brew somewhere on my desk. I was trying to find it. But you said Mansant got top 8 here, got 9th, and I think it's worth mentioning the community has suffered a blow. It's suffered a little bit of a loss here. Mansant officially on a hero that isn't Levia. Now, couple things here. First and foremost, moment of silence for our League of Levia and their fearless leader, taking a chance.
If you're on YouTube, please push F and put in the comments below. Can we get an F in chat? This is heartbreaking.
Yeah, this is worthy of an F in chat. Moment of silence.
Just throw that F, and while you're down there, hit the subscribe button.
And second of all, this goes to show that when you have players like Mansant, they fall in love with their pet deck. They're the best on that deck. They love what they're doing. They love talking about it. But also, these are just good players and great people overall to begin with. Like 100%. Mansant swap decks and hit top 8 and then hit 9th in the next event. Like, this is a player that knows what they're doing and should be recognized as not just a Levia player or an anything player, as just a great player in our game. So I wanted to give a shout out there because that's always cool to see. Is that finger guns?
Yeah, that was like finger guns, but like YouTube safe, so it's just like the pointers up in the sky, no finger guns.
So yes, big shout out, Mansant. But let's break down kind of an aggro v control top 8, and let's start by talking about the control side of the board, which, in my opinion, probably consisted of Dromai, Oldhim, Icelander, and Bravo.
Yes, Dromai is one of those flex decks where she's kind of like a mid-rangey deck.
Yes.
Where she can flex her game plan into aggressive or slow, depending on her matchups, depending on what she's trying to do. The other ones, however, Oldhim only go slow. You can play aggro, you can play pummels. In reality, you're playing a control deck. You're trying to slow things down. Sure. Icelander, it's got ice in her name. She wants to give you frostbite. She wants to make your life miserable, and I'm here for that. And then Bravo, he can dominate, but he's not dominating you. He is there to block out and just, again, make it slow, make you make mistakes, and take over the game. With only 2-3 aggro decks in that meta, I was surprised with even that many in the top 8, to be honest.
100%. And you made a good point. Dromai definitely kind of fills that mid-rangey role more than control. That's why I said assumed control list, right? I'm making an assumption on that Dromai list. But there's a notable exclusion here. And we talked about with the fact that control can take things over, you proposed the idea of control pistol dash to kind of a control deck that counters the other control decks, right? That's just better at grinding you out than these other control decks. So it's weird not to see that here, especially because I think into this field, that deck would have played pretty well into everything but Icelander. I think it's too slow. It lets Icelander set up big Frost Hex combos.
I haven't played that matchup yet, but in theory, I agree with you. And also in theory, Dash has a lot of blues in that control plan that can pitch that AB. She has naturally 3 to 4 AB she can bring in very easily. She has that AB package built in.
True.
You know what? She's okay with just loading pistols, shoot for 2, hold 3 blues. Load pistols, shoot for 2. Listen, I played KNO. I've died to that strategy more times than I want to admit. So it is possible. So
That is
something
a
to note
tough. That's a
here:
tough way to go.
the winner of this event was Viserai. Now, not to take anything away from Viserai, I was told the 4 players scooped 4 other players in to get nationals invites. So in the top 8, the 4 people with nationals invites gave the other 4 kind of just homies. I like that. The Flesh and
Oh,
Blood
okay.
community is so nice that 4 players did not have invites in the top 8. Hey, you know what? Be nice. They were being nice. They homied each other in. So that's really cool. I love that about the Flesh and Blood community. Now you got that look on your face.
Now, okay, and so let's just play devil's advocate here.
Yeah, 100.
It's
percent
that's while that's definitely a feel good moment in that bubble. I don't think that plays as well when the big draw is that this is the last chance to qualify for nationals. This is a high-level event. May the best, people win. Let's get in there. Let's duke it out. And then that happens in the top 8. And also there's been some adjustment to the rules on concessions. Like, how does that work? So I haven't heard anything about this, and I don't want to put anything out into the ether that could be correct or incorrect. But I will say openly, I'm not the biggest fan of that, but I don't think it's worth dominating. I don't think that's a story worth dominating how great and diverse this top 8 was.
No, 100% not. This top 8 meta was insane. It is awesome. All 8 of these decks. I did not expect a FaB to make top 8, to be honest. I did not expect the Briar to make top 8. Like, I thought it was just going to be Viserai as the aggro deck.
We were all in on Briar being out, but we also recognized, and this is a little patting us on the back, a little patting, the reaction phase on the back here. Viserai being an aggro deck that can still get there in a control meta is something that's always kind of been on the table for us because of the weird split damage the deck offers, right? It's hard to efficiently defend against a powerful Viserai deck and a good Viserai player. That being said, you have to change your gameplay from the control side in where you're preventing damage, where you're trying to maybe take some damage to put some offensive pressure on to slow your opponent. It's a different way to play, and I think you see that shining with Viserai winning this event.
100%. Viserai can do kind of what Dash can do in a way, where they can hedge their game plan into a more aggressive or more controlling style, depending what they're going up against. Viserai is in nature always be the more aggressive of the 2 decks. They have the ways to make rune chance easily. They have ways to push lots of split damage every single turn. And because of that, it makes decks like Oldhim and Bravo just very sad. You have to pitch for the arcane, you have to block the physical. Now you got a Rosetta Thorn for 2 and 2. It's just a nightmare to block Viserai completely out.
Yeah, it's definitely, it feels bad. And then Rosetta Thorn into something like Dromai getting so much value, right? I believe the way Rosetta Thorn reads, you can kill a 2 health dragon and still deal the 2 arcane to the opponent, right? So you're able to split the damage, kill Kyloria, and deal 2 to your opponent. The value there is it's just
even worse with FaB. Like, FaB versus Dromai. Oh my god, on hit. And even Viserai, they have those on hits. They have the on hit discard a card, on hit do this, and now you're just
Shout out hometown TCG Ascent John Wood. We played several games of Dromai Dash last night, and the cards that say on hit your next attack it's +3 and on hit your next attack gains dominate. Oh, that felt so bad on max velocity turns. He would just break and be like, okay, take a turn to do attack a dragon, clear the dragon, and now boom your face. And had Teklo pounders. Like, it's
such a bad matchup for Dromai.
It doesn't feel great. And the fact that pistols can clear so many of your dragon, just like a single pistol, for free, for nothing. It felt so bad. But moving on, talking about this top 8, it was cool to see Vis win. The 2 Oldims was kind of what we expected. We expected to see if one deck was going to have multiple representation, we thought it would be Oldim. And I'm interested to find out how these Oldims played. There is the Oldim theory out there running around where you can be more aggressive. You're running E-strikes, you're running zealous beltings, you're getting in there, and you're pivoting onto the back foot when necessary. But there's also the tried and true, man. The Guardian Winter, the lots of Earth cards, lots of ice cards, using that buckler, using those 3 pitch to shield and block so efficiently. Crown is still legal in this format. Like, so many things can happen. What do you think these Oldim builds were?
I'm gonna go out and just assume they're the super control, super grindy,
Of
trying to
course they
pitch
are.
stack you, trying to oak and old you, trying to just make your life miserable. Guess what? Frosty Hammer for 4 is still a legit game plan. It is still frustrating.
So good.
And I think they still have those pummels in. I still think they still have the slight aggro package that if you stumble one bit, it's pummel, pummel, pummel. Command and Conquer Pummel. That's such a good combo that they can run for free. They have a race face. They have so many good cards that block for 2 or 3. They can pitch if they need to. Just old him is gonna be strong. I can't wait.
Oldhim is so strong. Honestly, though, I forget how much a fused Oaken Old swings for when it's not
7.
Starvo
No,
activated.
9. 9 when it's fused. Yeah.
9 when it's fused, 11 when it's
Mhm.
Starvo activated or whatever. Ugh.
Mhm.
Man, I don't want to see I'm salty about it. I don't want to see Oaken Old played against me anymore. I
It
just
feels bad. It's worse in Blitz though. Man, when you get 9 dominated in Blitz, that feels bad. In CC,
and
you're like,
discard 2.
okay. Yeah.
It still
Yeah.
feels bad. I think it's just I have PTSD. I have Starvo's meta
Mhm.
PTSD when my opponent plays Oaken Old. I'm just like, oh no, please stop. No more.
Unmovable's not enough. What do I do?
What do I do? More importantly, how cool is it to see OG Bravo in this field? I know we said it's going to be control strong, but I think other decks do control better. This OG Bravo list pretty sweet.
So OG Bravo is one of those decks that when you have a control meta, OG Bravo is like, that's cute, old him, dominate. That's cute, dominate, dominate, dominate. That's the only thing it has better over old him is it's better in that, in theory, it's better in that mirror where they can just throw
Yes.
those dominate attacks. But then old him has the hero power to give you 2 prevention every turn, 2 prevention. So it's a super interesting matchup with super small edges. But I do think if you want to beat Oldhim, Bravo is one of those decks that those dominate on demand. It's still good.
Yeah, we talked about the fact that some of these old Imps are maybe pivoting off and having those packages in the deck where they can go more aggro. Bravo just does that more consistently. I mean, you said it right. The keyword in his hero title, being able to just, hey, I'm gonna dominate something anytime that I want, any chance that I get. I don't have to draw a perfect Oaken Old fused hand. I just get to pay 2 and slap you in the dome. And
Mhm.
maybe there's value to that, right? It allows you to pivot on and off that front foot, back foot game plan a little more efficiently.
I agree. Like there's so much that both decks can do. There is no strong like winner in that mirror match. And that's what I love about this game. There's no like, oh, Oldhim beats Bravo, Bravo beats Oldhim. It's like he does this a little bit better, he does that a little bit better. What do you want to bring to the table? It's like an OG fighter game where you just pick your guy and go and just hope for the best.
Pick your hero. So this was really sweet. The FaB was a surprise, but again, we talked about the fact that the pilot of the FaB is just playing on another level.
Mhm.
So that could have something to do with that deck, squeaking in there. And then finally, Briar. If there was a shock to me in this top 8, it's Briar still getting there.
I mean, Briar is the most not consistent, but she has those hands that are always going to be good unless you draw 4 of one type, which you build the deck not to do. And Channel is still good. Channel Mount Heroic is still Channel Mount Heroic. You can get those 1-turn kills in that deck where you just have 1,000 cards on the battlefield and you just win. I saw a picture on Twitter a few days ago that's like the Kano player already packed his cards up and Briar's still just playing. Like Briar's still just going on. Kano's like scooping his cards and Briar's like, we're not done yet. Come back here. Like, Briar's good. You know what I'm talking about? You saw that?
That's my tweet.
Is that your tweet?
It's my tweet with the
It's
one
even
where
better.
the casters are holding the sign that says math and the other one that says Briar is good.
No, there's a new one. There's like it happened in the local game store. Where
Oh,
it was
really?
Briar
Okay.
v Kano, and Kano's literally like scooping his cards up, and the Briar's just still playing cards.
That's so great. That's
Oh.
that's so good. So yeah, Briar surprised me to be out there, but I mean, man, it just gets there. It's one of those decks you can high roll anything. If you're a good player, you can kind of play that mid range game plan. But I want to make a point. Mid range, we talked mid range a couple times. inherently in TCGs, especially in FaB, mid-range is a tough strategy to pull off when the meta is full of control. And that's not a FaB specific statement. That's a TCG statement. Like, it's tough to play mid-range. Mid-range is your best option when the meta is open. In my opinion, when the meta is open, it just feels like you don't sit down and lose. You have a chance to make your outplays. When you feel like the meta is going to be heavy control and you have the courage to sit down with mid-range and say, I'm going to find a way to beat these control decks, that earns props in my book.
I agree. And another good thing about Briar is you always want to be the one asking questions. And Briar asks so many good questions with all those 4 breakpoints.
Yes.
Like, hey, you're going to block this? Do you have a block in your hand? You want to block this? Like, Briar asks the questions, and in TCGs, you always want to be the one that asks.
Yes.
You don't want to be the old one that's like, do I want to answer that question? No, you want to be asking.
That's a fantastic point. So I love these decks. I love the breakdown of the RTN. Viscerai, congrats to the player who won. Congrats to Vis for picking up the win. Moving on, we got the Battle Hard. The meat and potatoes of the podcast is going to be Flesh and Blood Online, and we spent like 20 minutes on that, so we got to get moving.
Such a good meta right now.
It's such
like,
a good.
I love it.
That one was, I argue, the battle hardened meta.
This is what we expected.
It was a little more what we expected. No, go ahead. Sorry.
You want me to go for it? Okay.
Dude, I love when you go for it. Break it down.
3 Oldhim, 2 Icelander, 2 Jomai, not on the aggro deck in sight. Let's go. Control Winter is here. Let's go. My girl Dash is out there. She's shooting people. Iceland is giving you icy frostbites. Oldhim's being old. And Jomai is she's chilling with her dragons. Like, it's great. Like, oh.
Rar. Rar. I'm all in. Give me Dromai, Rar. And so it is worth mentioning that's the top 8 for the Battle Hardened at SCG Columbus. Oldhim does take that one down. So old man takes the dub at the Battle Hardened, and this is the meta we expected. When we talked about the control 100%. Winter, when we sat here last episode in our fur coats and claimed that winter was coming, this was our vision. That is a Hawaiian shirt that you just hunkered down to survive the winter. It's kind of chilly in
this Hawaiian shirt. I thought it was Hot Girl Summer still. It is not Hot Girl Summer.
I know, me too. I was wearing a cutoff, and then I looked at my arms. I'm like, they're not. I can't bring these on the podcast. So this was interesting. You see your Dash in there, and the first question that comes to mind is, man, oh man, was that Dash player running the full control pistols package? Could they get there that way?
Looking at that meta and knowing that Dash got second in this event, I have to assume they're running that pistol, at least the hedge, right? Where like you can kind of play pistols, you can kind of play aggro, you got that nice hedge game plan. I would say she has to be playing that game plan. This is the meta that she wants to see. She wants to see those Oldhim. She wants to see those Iceland. This is a perfect top 8 for her. If I sat down against these heroes, Icelander is kind of sketchy.
Sure.
I'm not 100% of that matchup, but Oldhim, Jomai, I'll sit down all day for this. I got all day to shoot you for 2.
You got all day to shoot you for 2. You got all day to clear dragons off the board.
100%.
There's far more 6s in that deck also than you realize, and that's something, again, I talked about playing the matchup.
That's a lot.
That's something I didn't realize. I was like, oh, at least there won't be a lot of Phantasm popping going on. Boy, I was wrong. There's a ton of 6s just naturally in that deck ready to go. At max velocity, when you're like, you can't play it, you're like, oh, this blocks 6. Like, this blocks at least 6 every turn. It's so good.
So good.
So this is what we expected to see. Oldhim, Icelander, and Dromai. Of the biggest surprise, so the Dash, I was wondering if they're on the control plan. The Icelander ×2 was kind of a surprise, but huge shout out to the players over at MinMax Games. I know one is Levi, and I don't know who the other player's name is off the top of my head, so no disrespect, I just don't know off the top of my head. And that's another case of those decks are just, they have maybe the best pilots behind them.
Icelander is one of those decks you need to put hours and hours and hours into understand every line.
Yes.
Are you aggro? Are you control? What are you trying to do in this matchup? Because Wizards in general have such slim margins that one mistake can snowball. Get it, snowball?
Yes, I do. Thank you for explaining the joke, though. I was worried if you didn't explain the joke, I might not have got it. So
that's Prism listeners, so I have to, just in case.
Completely uncalled for. Stop it. Stop it.
Yeah, but Icelander will snowball out of control in a bad way. If she loses tempo, if she can't hold a blue to Arsenal every turn, that game plan goes so bad if you're not playing on their turn. You just don't do anything. You're in full block mode. She doesn't full block well, but great players on those decks.
Fantastic players on those decks. And I'm going to make a statement right here, right now, that might be controversial. Levi, the min-max player on Icelander at this event, may be in contention for best Icelander player in North America, if not the world. He is just fantastic on that deck. I am willing to be proven wrong. I'm not saying this is a blanket, but like right now, put him in a field with any other Icelander players, I'd lean towards taking Levi. It's been the deck he's been on since the hero dropped. He's gone through just iteration after iteration. He's played every single matchup as much as anyone that I've heard of. The guy is jamming the deck, and it shows here in this top 8. So shout out to those guys. Oldie does take the whole thing home, though. And man, did you hear about any of the finals? I know there wasn't really a stream, but I heard it was a slog. That Dash versus Oldhim game was a grind.
I believe it. I was on Twitter refreshing Sam's Twitter page. Like, come on, Sam, give me some more. Give me a little bit more. When I saw this top 8, this is exactly what I expected. I think those are the 4 best decks. Oldhim, Dash, and Icelander being the best 3. Jomai significantly worse than those top 3. But I think she's still up there. Like, I think she's still like an A deck, and the other 3 are S tier decks. So I can't wait for nationals. I mean, oh my god, having video coverage of these decks grinding out. Like, will the clock be the number 1 win? Like, what's gonna happen?
All right, and with this, before we move on from the top 8, we are going to play a game, Mo. And I didn't tell you this. I'm going to put 60 seconds on my mental clock. And this game is called Crack the Pack. And now most times when you hear TCG, you think Crack the Pack. You think we're going to open a booster pack. We are not. This pack of decks, this wolf pack in the top 8 that you see is the wolf pack. This is what you have to fight against. I'm going to challenge you to pick a deck that is not in the wolf pack, and you have to crack the pack. What deck are you going to take into this top 8 and run the gauntlet and win the whole thing? It has to be a deck that isn't represented. You have 60 seconds. Go.
So this is really hard because Dash is my number 1 deck in this current meta. I think Dash is great. Icelander is second. If I can't choose any of those and I can't choose Jomai, you just limited a lot of my options. So now I'm looking at this meta. What's good against Dash, Oldhim, and Icelander, and Jomai? Not a lot, because all those decks do very different things very, very well. And because of that, I am struggling to think of any answers, but I'm also trying to keep talking because that's my job. I think into this meta, wow, this is hard. I honestly think into this meta, and you're going to think I'm joking, Young Chain. I don't think these decks can kill Young Chain fast enough. And I think Young Chain might actually have a chance, but I would not take Young Chain into an actual tournament. But if I look at those 4 decks, I think Young Chain is the best choice. Is that 60 seconds? I'm going to keep talking. Now that Josh has lost, how's it going, everybody? My name is Obogsley. Feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Obogsley, at youtube.com. Welcome back, Josh. Was it not a good...
So, I didn't realize when I made this game it was going to break the internet. My bad.
Think about it. Oldhim can't push the damage that fast, theoretically. You look at Jomai, Chain can probably kill those dragons when needed. You look at Dash. Dash is what I'm scared of the most. She's an aggro deck. She can switch. Like, Icelander not a fast deck either. I think Chain might have enough time to set up and just go for it. Again, don't bring Chain to a Nationals event. I don't think it's a good idea. But put on the spot there. I think it's the best deck against that meta. And you're laughing. I was going to say Kano, but I don't want to play Kano against Icelander. That does not sound like fun.
No,
I was
Kano
thinking every other deck I could
horrible.
bring. OG Bravo seems like a cop-out answer. It just doesn't seem that fun. It doesn't seem like it might be the best deck into that field, but it doesn't sound fun. It doesn't seem like, let's put more on the spot and make him think. And I think about that, I honestly think I want to see what Young Chain can do into a defensive Oldhim and just see if you can stack your deck and just go off.
Well, that answer was amazing. I have one of my own. I know I was the one asking the question. I do have an answer of my own. I think, and this goes back to a take I had when I thought it was going to be the Guardian Winter beforehand. And then we had the hot fab summer with all the aggro decks and the wide open field. I thought we were going to start the Guardian Winter early. So going into the Guardian Winter, I actually picked Lexi. And Lexi is a deck that can run enough disruption to get there against any hardcore aggro you might run up against, and can high roll a lot of these control decks. You can have these ridiculous turns and you can pop off. Now, you are susceptible. I'm not claiming that Lexi is consistent enough or a great choice, but if I had to crack the pack and I had to get through this top 8 with a deck that's not listed, I would bring Lexi and I would try to high roll my way with some hit effects, some big turns, some real wide turns, and a lot of damage. That's what I would do. That is my answer. I would not bring young Lexi. I would advise you to bring 40 life Lexi to the event. I think if you bring 20 life Lexi, you're going to lose very quickly. I mean, I guess Chain is 26 life Chain because of Husk.
With Seeds of Agony, that's pretty big. And is Plunder Run still banned? Plunder Run's still banned.
No, I thought Seeds of Agony is
Plunder
still
Run,
banned in CC.
No. Seeds of Agony is legal in CC. Just no one can play it. That's the catch.
Oh, that's the
unbanned,
catch.
But nobody can play it. But now Young Chain with Seeds, I think. Hey, I'm just saying.
All right. I didn't realize what I was doing when I started this game. I instantly regret it. No, I don't. That's fantastic. I want you to do this. I want you to. What kind of money would it take for you to do this?
I will bring Young Chain to World CC for top 32 prize support.
Oh, I'm okay. Never mind. You're not interested in fun. That's fine. Moving on. Listen, that is the top 8. That's the breakdown. No, we're not listening. You ruined it. We were gonna have fun. We were gonna have fun.
Comments are gonna be like,
"Go make your bed. Go make your bed." What is
it? Isn't made. There's a sheet on it. You don't see the sheet?
Moving on. So all of this is interesting. We have this unsolved meta. We have this field kind of figuring it out, playing these awesome decks, and then as far as the Battle Hardened goes, we have the Control Winter happening. But this brings me to my first question to you, and we ought to pivot to talk about FaB Online. Now, for those who don't know, FaB TCG Online is a website that enables you to play Flesh and Blood, whether it's draw practice hands or play against a computer opponent, or set up and play real games against live opponents. It is a website. It is free. You do not have to own the cards. You can just log on, learn the interface, learn the controls, and play the game. Is this bad for Flesh and Blood in the sense that we will lose metas like this? Now, something for those of you confused as to why I'm asking this question, a lot of TCGs see metas and fields and new cards and decks solved more quickly when the hive mind, as I call it, or the TCG or player community gets access to the game piece and is allowed to spam hundreds of thousands, if not millions of games in rapid succession and get that data out of an online client. So knowing that, is FaB TCG Online, Flesh and Blood Online in some way or shape or form, good for the game or not?
I think at its current state, where Flesh and Blood Online is at right now, with all the features it has, as we're recording this video, is fine. I think if they add too much stuff, if they go too far, it can become bad for the game. But right now, it's just a website that you can log on, play with your friends, learn how to play if you're a new player, test decks you don't want to buy cards for. I think it's okay at the current moment. I think we can go down a slippery slope very fast if they start doing things like what deck percentages beat each other. Like if you have like 10,000 games and you see Jomai is 65% into this deck or whatever, that's the kind of statistics and the kind of stuff I don't want to share. I think whoever runs the website should keep that behind closed doors. I think that should be private information, because the other worry is, let's say you have the card guys, right? Let's shout another team. They're on there testing against each other. Like it's just card guys versus card guys. They do 1,000 games, right? What if that information gets leaked and the card guy's secret tech gets leaked, right? So like there's some risks. So there's some downsides to this. As the competitive player that I am, I also just personally, I enjoy Tabletop Simulator a lot. I think it gives you more range and more ability, but I think this is good for the game currently. What about you, Josh?
So I have so much pushback on almost everything you just said. First of all, I asked you if it was good or bad for the game, and you said it's eh. You went right in the middle. You didn't take a stance on either side. Thanks for the help on that one, buddy. Second of all,
thank you.
It's like you're not new to content. Second of all, Flesh and Blood Online, as I said before the big surgence, as I've said in the past, as I'll say again, right into this camera, we're a big studio. We got multiple cameras. I got to know which camera to look into. I think it's this camera. This is the best thing to happen to Flesh and Blood yet. Flesh and Blood Online is getting more people access to playing Flesh and Blood in some way, and that is fantastic. Flesh and Blood, as a game at its core, has gone through media cycles of the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows. From the outside looking in, you were part of the early boom and the financial success and popping off and chasing these values. Then you were part of the market crash and everything goes to zero, and Monarch boxes were overpriced. And all of this, you've lost so many players there. Then you've brought people in with these competitive play announcements. Competitive play. We're picking up Wizards put down OP. We're picking up OP, and we're doing it better than anyone before. And we're bringing people together to play in the Flesh and Blood. And that's fantastic. But then you had your metas suffered, whether it was the chain meta, whether it was the Starvo meta, and you had an opportunity to push people away there. So with all these ups and downs and market cycles, you have left a bad taste in a lot of our players' mouth, depending on when they came in, and they may have suffered on one of those downslides. If you're a new player, I could see you putting the game away for good and having a bad taste in your mouth, and the game doesn't get a chance to make a second first impression. If your first impression is Flesh and Blood Online, and you've said it, Ascent has said it, I've said it, every content creator ever has said it, Flesh and Blood gameplay is the best TCG gameplay that you can currently get. When it's balanced and when skills are even and people are playing Flesh and Blood, it's the best gameplay experience you can get. What Flesh and Blood Online does is give that experience to anybody who wants to experience it. Anybody who wants to play Flesh and Blood now can experience the best part of the game and have the chance at a quality first impression. Now, the pushback to that is always, we are so focused on our competitive players and our competitive scene that if this data in the aggregate starts to build to a point where you know what decks are beating what, you come up with these numbers, that it's unfair to our competitive players. And I don't say this often. I literally sponsor what I believe is the best competitive team on the scene. And I will argue with anybody about that. I think Ascent is the best competitive team on the scene. This isn't about you competitive players. You guys get to take a back seat on this one. Flesh and Blood desperately needs a casual community, a community of rabid fans that just want to experience the game. They want to have their hands. They want to be able to play their pet deck. They want to be able to play it whenever they can, whenever they can fit it into their lives, and this does that. There's no chance of them going down to their local armory, getting an event spiked and having no fun. They can get games with their friends. They can get random games, and if a game goes poorly, they can just move on, press play next, and go to the next one. This is the best thing to happen to Flesh and Blood yet. Sorry, I've been ranting. Go ahead.
It's good.
Hit me
it's
back.
Good. No, go for it. Go for it. I like the rant. I like the energy. I like the enthusiasm about Flesh and Blood because that's why we're here. We both love the game. We both want it to do well.
100%.
I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. One thing I will note, when Magic Arena first came out, God, what even was that? All I know is when I was going to FNMs, when Magic Arena first came out, Magic Arena killed Friday Night Magic. I would go to my Friday Night Magic when Arena first came out, and the store owner said, our sales are down. Everyone's playing online. No one wants to come anymore because they can play at home on their own time whenever they want, against whoever they want. So that is a downside. People not going to the armories because, hey, it's a Friday night. I'm just going to log online for 2 hours, get my Flesh and Blood fix, play my games online. I don't care about the armory promos. I just want to play. That is a downside. I have to admit it. If the Magic Arena took away from local game stores.
I will push back on that because I think those communities are vastly different. I don't think anybody who is currently going to armories is going to stop going to armories. And again, anybody, that's a wrong statement. That's hyperbolic. I'm sure there's someone somewhere. I don't believe that people are going to stop going to armories because of Flesh and Blood Online. I think your players that are going to armories are going to armories. They're not going to stop because Flesh and Blood Online happens. I do believe that one or two people over time will start picking up the game and then maybe get brave enough to venture into an armory for the first time. I think that is far more likely than anybody who's currently playing in an armory to stop and just stop going to armories. What this does is so many of your players, let's look at Flesh and Blood's target demographic, right? It's like 25 to 33. People who are just like you're starting a new job, you're moving across the country. You know, maybe you get a significant other. Maybe you're like me, you're having a child, right? But you still love the game. You get to now still experience the game in the community, and whether you were feeling distant, it's something to keep you connected. Whether you weren't sure if you were going to connect, it's something to give you the taste of what the best of what the game has to offer, and maybe get that second foot in. Now, for our competitive players, if this is used to aggregate data, and we find out that the meta is completely broken, that is on design. Now design, it puts pressure on the game design team to improve game design and make sure that's not possible, right? That can't happen. And that's going to happen. Make no mistake about it. There will be releases that are broken. This is a TCG that we believe will go on for the long run, which means there's going to be broken metas. There's going to be broken cards. There's going to be things that don't work and things that are OP. They will get banned, that will have to get adjusted. But game design and balance will have to take it to the next level, and that's okay to be challenged in that way. I don't see a downside here. If the aggregate data is our competitive players are gaining this aggregate data on their own, and now it's going to be open to the community, tough. Like, too bad. That to me is not a concern. I think the upside vastly outweighs that.
Don't get me wrong. I enjoy this product. I enjoy that I don't have to turn my webcam at my desk and shuffle up, and I've done that so much. I'm in armories still in Chicago that I play on webcam weekly. I shuffle my cards weekly on webcam and I play, and it's a ton of fun. Playing games is fun.
Yeah.
My big thing that I just wish Flesh and Blood would just make their own. Just make a legit client. Like, they're doing great on Flesh and Blood Online. They're putting tons of work into it. It looks great. It plays great. I just wish there was a tie-in, like Flesh and Blood. Just make a sponsorship with them. Like, let's make this official. Let's get some money back to Legendary Studios. Let's help grow this company. No? Oh, I said it again, didn't I?
It's Legend Story Studios. Guys,
there's a reason why I'm not sponsored by them, okay? I'm not in the content creator program for a reason.
The views of Mo Boxley's do not represent that of this channel or this podcast, even though he's on it weekly.
Yeah, you guys should sponsor me though. So.
Dude, I'm gonna get a Post-it note that says Legend Story Studios and mail it to you so you can put it on your monitor right in front of you so you can see it.
I might need that. I might.
And listen, this does get back to Legend Story Studios. People who have no chance to ever play this game, people who don't have armories, because let's face it, we're growing. And we're a growing community, but we're not as big as the Magic community. There's not just an F&M that you can throw a football and hit. Right? There's F&Ms that you could lean out your window of your apartment right now, throw a football, and hit an F&M. Like, it's insane. Please don't fall out of your chair. It's crazy. With Flesh and Blood, there are certain areas where you might want to get in the game. Maybe you watch Hometown TCG. Maybe you've seen the Min-Max booth. You love the Min-Max guys. Maybe you love Mo Boxley's tier list, whatever it might be, and you can't play Flesh and Blood. Well, this gives you the opportunity to do so, and instead of you getting involved in the hobby and then losing interest because you don't have a place to go, it has a chance to hook you in while we grow. And then maybe you visit Min-Max Games Fab and you buy some product. Maybe you reach out to you on Twitter and ask advice for a deck. It gets you deeper and deeper into the hobby, and I think that grows Legend Story Studios as a company and us as a game in the long run. So I don't know, I've got a lot to say about this. I feel like I don't mean to dominate this portion of the podcast, but I truly believe this is, and I said it in the past and I'll say it now, this is the best thing to happen to Flesh and Blood. And that's not to say the other amazing things that have happened are not great. Mm-hmm. It's just, this is access and accessibility to this game, to this hobby, to this community is key. Like, it just brings us together.
I want to be on record saying I am not against it. I 100% am not against it at all.
Right.
I just think there's upsides and downsides on both sides, and I think it's good to look at both.
Yeah.
I think, if I remember right, you tweeted a month ago asking if there should be a FaB online client.
Yes.
And people were not happy with it. People did not like that take. Everyone loves it now. Everybody loves it now that it's a thing.
I am not going to point out the name of the people that viciously attacked me on repeat, but they did. And I just giggled because I shrugged it off. Because in my tweet, I said, I'm not advocating for or against. I had my opinion formulated. I wanted to know what the community thought. I really wanted to reach out and figure out what. And then I wanted to ask questions based on that feedback. And it was not a popular tweet. It was not popular. But I think it was important because, again, I look at my own scenario with the baby on the way. I spent this afternoon putting in a car seat for the first time, learning how to do that. That was sweet, by the way. Did you know you can just go to police stations and fire stations and they'll inspect to make sure you have that done correctly?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I was in early childhood. I went to high school for it, in college a little bit. So yeah, they teach you that.
Did you get kicked out or did you quit? Little column A. No, I didn't know that, so I'm excited. But I'm also nervous. I did an extra good job because I don't want to sit there with my wife and have like some really handsome like police guy or fire person and they're just like in a uniform and they literally, whether it's a man or woman, they save lives for a living and they're just this confident human and they look at my wife and be like, "This is so wrong. He didn't know what he's doing." I'll be like, "Oh, man."
At least you tried.
Oh, I did. I put so much effort into this. It was ridiculous. I watched YouTube videos about it. I read manuals. I was all in.
There's that great YouTube channel. Side note, it's called Dad, How Do I? And it's just like a guy that just shows you how to do everything you could ever need. It's great.
That's
sick. It's like, Dad, how do I tie a tie? Dad, how do I change a tire? For
those listening right now, let's do a little hometown TCG history because way back when John and I were starting a YouTube channel, we were just playing Flesh and Blood at my kitchen table every night. And we were like, we should start a YouTube channel, but we didn't know what about. We were going to start a YouTube channel called Helping Hands. And all it was going to be was how-to projects around, because I have a bunch of projects I'm doing around my house. And all it was going to be was highly edited videos about how to hang a shelf, how to clean an oven, how to replace a kitchen sink, how to clear a blockage in your kitchen, in your bathroom plumbing, like how to change the carburetor on your car. That's all it was going to be. Was Helping Hands was the YouTube channel, and then we started making one video, and we're like, we don't like projects that much. We like TCGs way more. Like projects are not nearly as fun as slinging cardboard, and here we are.
You made the right choice. You made the right choice.
You know,
but if you want to show me how to tie a tie, I'm still struggling. So you know,
I do know how to tie a tie. I also learned that on YouTube. So anyway, we're off the rails. My stance on FaB TCG Online, man, is I really truly believe, and my stance of positivity and aggressive positivity is not to counteract some stance you've made. This is not a statement on yours.
I think we come back in a month and see where it's at and see. I say we come back to we circle it, you know, in a month time after Worlds happens. Let's talk about it again. Let's see what's changed for the better or the worse.
Do you know what this is going to do? It's going to get us through content winter. FaB does awesome for their employees. They give people the chance to like take breaks over Christmas and come back next year fresh. And there's not a lot of news that happens. And that's content winter, man. You look at FaB searches and views drop 70% during that content winter. It's great because there's no events. And again, it's for the health of the employees. It's a good thing. But this gives people some way to stay engaged. It's so good. Oh, it's just so good. And the only thing it hurts is data that high-level players are gathering and hoarding for themselves anyway. And like, I have no sympathy for that. And again,
let's go, little man. That's me.
I'm very into the competitive scene. Shout out Ascent, but I don't. No, sorry, Ascent. You get to suffer a little bit on this one. FaB Online's so good. Anyway,
I do know back when I was grinding the World of Warcraft TCG, there was some clients similar to FaB Online. I don't know the name of it. Same thing. You can get on there, play games with your decks.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And I think that is a good thing.
Oh my gosh, imagine if you can PvP on the FaB or PvE when it comes out on the FaB Online client. Going to be so good. Anyway, I got to stop ranting about this. Let's move on to the final topic of the day. We've got some huge sales to discuss, and it's official. I think MinMax Games is officially the biggest Flesh and Blood store in the States at this point. MinMax Games, and there will be details coming out and a video actually on this channel going over the huge collection purchase. MinMax Games is now...
told me.
Yes, I know. They are the owner of probably the most sealed Flesh and Blood in the States. They have made a purchase in a collection valued hundreds of thousands of dollars, and their intent is to keep these boxes and cards available for the community to be played. And I think it's incredible that the game is in the hands of people who love it so much. So they have made that purchase, and it's in good hands. I'm excited to see what comes of that gigantic sale.
I have no comment. Minax is great. I no one told me the details, but
I can't tell you. That's as many
but
details as I
you
can
looked
tell
at
you.
me like, "Hey Mo, it's your time to talk," and I'm like, "You didn't." Hey guys, I bought a first edition foil Blazing Aether. That was my big purchase. If you don't know, Blazing Aether first edition foils have flavor text. No other editions do. And the flavor text is "Ha, you thought you were gonna win, Kano." So I bought one of those. That's kind of cool.
I already talked about flavor text on a podcast last week, and it divulged into scratching and licking a card to determine what flavor it was. So
Your other podcasts are weird. I'm glad I'm on this one.
I refuse to be involved in another flavor text conversation.
I'm just saying. I bought a foil Blazing Aether first edition, and I need one more for Worlds because I'm jamming Kano at Worlds, and I need the flavor text. Like it's cool.
So, guys, if you're out there, you have a first edition foil Blazing Aether, you got to hit up Mo Boxley on Twitter or on his YouTube channel. Let's get him that card. It's been an interesting, overall the market. There's not too much to talk about. I mean, things are very stagnant. There hasn't been a new set release. Command & Conquer prices went up a little bit with the release of the Emperor. So there's that, but I think that'll fluctuate and come back down. The concept of possibly a reprint should bring those back down. Art of War continues to surprise me as a card that is worth a lot, but you don't see too much of, especially when you look at a lot of these decks. You see them in one or two of these decks, but you don't see them kind of all over the place. So that card being as expensive as it is a little bit surprising.
It's just a card that does everything card game players love to do, and I think they want it because of that. Like, it draws cards, it buffs attacks. It's kind of like a trap card. You're playing Yu-Gi-Oh! You activate my trap card. I can block from Arsenal. Bam! Like, it's just a fun card.
I don't disagree with you. I don't think you're incorrect. So it's a really cool card. But let's end this podcast. We've been going for almost an hour now, Mo. Let's get into the closing crazy comment section where we have a chance to respond to the comment section. I think the users might have just heard me pulling up the video in the background for the first time. Mo, I know you like to go first, so I can't steal your comment. What do you got for me?
I went first last time. I'm going to put you on the spot this time, Josh. You have 10 seconds. What is your comment?
My comment is from Fainz, Fainez, and I love that my little ESPN baseball stats tweet is so popular, and I wish LSS would give me more data so to pick up more fun stats. Shout out to FaB Online with the chance to get more data and pick up more fun stats. But no, for real, this tweet was awesome. It was the tweet about Easton and another player having the best day one record.
White.
Yes, and stats like that in this game, and the people collecting them, the people collecting those stats are just built different, in my opinion. So I thought this comment deserved a shout out for people collecting that data. And those stats are cool things that fans like us can follow along with and really dive into. And just mostly, it just raises our entertainment and engagement with the game. It does nothing else. It just makes us smile.
It's one of the favorite things about watching Magic streams back in the day during Pro Tour. It was like, Reed Duke is, won this much money, played in this many events. It's just like random facts. Like, he's played in how many Grand Prix? He's what? Like, it's just a cool fact. Like, I know when Arena became big, it was like, this player's played 5,000 games on ladder. This is his overall win-loss. I'm like, that's cool. Like, I like that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
All right.
My comment is from Dur Afrax, and it just says freedom for Mo. I don't remember why. I don't know what I said. But it's freedom for Mo, and I agree. Freedom for Mo.
Mo literally went on. First, he flashed hundreds of dollars on the podcast. Then he went away on a baller, all-inclusive vacation. Now he's in full-on Hawaiian, open Hawaiian shirt dad mode. I think you need less freedom, bro. I think you need less freedom going on.
Freedom. Listen, I don't know why that was a comment, but I love it, and I'm here for it. So.
Well, dude, I like the comment. I like the one you choose. I like the podcast this week. Thank you guys for sticking around. If you haven't yet, remember, like, comment, share, subscribe. If you've been here for an hour and you haven't hit subscribe on both of our channels, it's confusing behavior for me, man. Help us out. It costs you nothing. This is the guilt subscription. I hate doing this, and I just want to do it because no one's still listening. The guilt subscription. Subscribe, please. Please subscribe to Mo Bogsley's YouTube. Let's get this man going.
I need it. I'm gonna cry. Make Fab notice me. Give me a promo to give to you guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging out. Until next time, you guys know me. My name is Josh.
I am Mo.
And we will see you around.
I feel like you were expecting more there. And
I was. And you just said I am Mo.
Mo.
All right, goodbye, people.
Oh, we're still on? Oh, it's awkward.